Rest of the West End Network. Hope you're safe and well. If you're new and here, give it a like, give it a comment, give it a share, give it a subscribe. Make sure you've watched the Slaven Bilic interview. If you haven't, after this, go and watch it. It's brilliant. It's an hour and a half of your life, but it's not an hour and a half you're going to waste. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. And as Slav says, once a hammer, always a hammer. Almost made me cry when he said that. And hopefully we've got some, just confirming some dates with some more really good My Hammers 11s coming up as well. So if you're not subscribed, please do, because I don't want you to miss these. It was brilliant. Let's see who we've got. Obviously, it's Have Your Say Friday. Damien's been talking a lot. There he is. I'll give someone else a turn. How much did you play, Slav? Nothing. Slav didn't want a penny. In fact, I don't think we've never paid for an interview, which is great. Chris, good morning to you. Pete, hope you're well. Next 2 games will tell if this has been a turnaround or not. Indeed, obviously we play Arsenal at the London Stadium, 5:30 kickoff tomorrow. We'll have match day afternoon, because obviously it's earlier. It's a later game, so yeah, you know what I mean. So a match day afternoon outside the London Stadium about midday, 12:30, something like that morning. Michael, want to see the same effort, win, lose, or draw? And I think so, Michael. I was talking to my hairdresser. Yes, I do get my hair cut. Steve from Wiggy's in Hornchurch, give him a shout out as always. Big West Ham fan. And we were saying, Arsenal are a better side. Let's be honest. Yeah, on paper, they're a much better side than us. So if we lose, but we've seen the same level of intensity as maybe we saw at Newcastle, or indeed saw when we lost to Man City at the beginning of the season, which everyone was happy about, really, because we had a go. Then, yeah, I can see the turn. Then if we revert back to type for the game against Arsenal, then Monday was a wasted, effort, really, in all honesty, because, what's the point? I think it's going to be fascinating to see. And also, obviously then we lead into Tuesday, against Leicester City, who could have a new manager in charge by then. Looks like it might be Ruud van Nistelrooy. So typically the first game, he'll be in charge if he'll be against West Ham. So there we go. Afternoon, ladies, tea in hand, breakfast order. Breakfast order. It's 12:30, man. Not bad. I've just swallowed my lunch down, literally. Towers Cafe, Lyndhurst Road, whatever it's called, all 100. Nick's there, top man. We're going to batter them, and Declan Rice is going to be crying into his beer. Slavin, if he was top tier. Do you know what? I've got it there. Early doors. I do apologise, because you WhatsApped me, didn't you, rather than emailed me? So I was like, what's he on about? And I found it. So it's there. I'm going to post it on Monday. I've got Mike's and also Dean's. And speaking of gifts and stuff like that, let me just play this little video quickly. Where is it? The West Ham Network Christmas giveaway is back, where there'll be prizes to be win every day. There'll be signed notebooks, mugs, autographs, all that type of thing every day leading up to Christmas. All you have to do is simply do what you're doing now. Well, not now, but when you're watching videos, comment. So from Sunday onwards, we take all the comments, everyone who's commented, and we randomly select. We put it into the supercomputer I've got here. It randomly selects a name, and you win a prize. And that's every day up until Christmas Eve will be the last day. So make sure you get involved with the West Ham. That makes you subscribe. And obviously, the more you comment, the more chances you get to win. So comment on other people's, put little emojis, even if you haven't watched the video, it all helps, and it helps your opportunity to win some stuff. And also, for any parents out there, if you're still worried about Christmas and Father Christmas and all that stuff, stick with the West Ham Network, because we might have something to help you guys out. That's all I'm saying. So that'll be next week. Russ sent email to Big Tom to step on Rice's. Yeah, I'll have a word. Budgie, good afternoon to you. I watched the mustard. Thank you, Kent. Afternoon, Ludders. Hope you're well. The big question is, will he stick with the centre midfield that worked so well or revert to a double pivot? Well, don't forget Edson Alvarez will be turning back. We're back. Now, whether it's decided, it's whether he goes with Soler or Alvarez, in my view, of that second midfield player, because or sort of the third midfield player, so to speak. Because I don't think he's going to drop Thomas Suchek. He might do, but I don't think he will. But if he does, then it'll be Soler and Paqueta with Alvarez. But even on Monday, we went for a system where we didn't actually have a sort of recognised CDM, and it worked. We'll have to wait and see, really. Do what Budgie says and smash the like button. Razor, good afternoon to you. Probably a lot warmer where you are or where I am at the moment. And I realised, why am I so cold? I realised I had my haircut. Isn't it? He'll make changes. He's the Tinker Man. Afternoon, Taz, Noel. If we revert back and double somehow draw, is that positive? Yes, I think it is. And the reason why I think it's positive is because it shows that one of the issues we always had with David Moyes was it was one size fits all. Now what we've got here is an instance where we have potentially the ability to play different formations and different. It's not necessarily the formation; it's the effort. So if he does decide to play with a double pivot and we get a result, that to me shows that there is adaptability potentially. I suppose it's more about the performance, really. You can play a double pivot. We played a double pivot against Man City and had a good performance. But it's whether that sort of the intensity. So when we have the ball, it's how it's the patterns of play and stuff as well, not necessarily the formation. If you have a fried breakfast for lunch, is that lunch or breakfast? It is lunch. We've got a classic song on at the moment. Could use to Everybody's Got to Learn Sometimes. Indeed. I feel right. Would you try and mind Mark Odegaard? Who knows, mate? What we got? Appreciate it. Cheers, mate. Yes, thank you very much. Indeed, it was very good. I enjoyed it. Slav was brilliant. As I said, we was only meant to have him for 45 minutes. We had only booked him. I said I do. We had 45 minutes, Slav, and we was there for an hour and a half, and actually a bit before and a bit after as well. So about 2 hours. Absolute wonderful man. Everything I wish he was. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes when he says don't never meet your heroes or people like that, but when we've interviewed players and ex-players and like Yoshi Benayoun and Slav and the multitude of players and people we've interviewed, not one of them has disappointed me. And that and even more so with Slav, absolutely wonderful man. I'm not posh enough for brunch, indeed. Same 11 had clean sheet and no cards. We'll have to work into the team again. Yeah, sure. And also, you've got for example, Paqueta's one yellow card away as well. And ironically, that would be if he did get a yellow card, he'd miss the Leicester game, which is when he's meant to give his hearing anyway. But then we'd welcome back Kudus for the Leicester game. So. Well, he'll be available in the squad. Can I use the hack? The hack is basically a comment or any. Michael, comment as much as you want, mate. If you win 24, you win 24. You don't they exclude you. Happy Friday. I'd love a draw tomorrow. Hope this is the start of a turnaround. Let's hope so. Let's hope JLo gives the view the same bit of team. Let's hope so. I mean, usually it's a sort of an unwritten rule, isn't it? That you tend to not change a winning side, but I think it might be different if Kudus was available tomorrow rather than Alvarez, because he has at times dropped Alvarez, whereas Kudus is Kudus. You know what I mean? It's all bollocks about possibly being. Is it all bollocks? Well, we're led to be believed, Peter. I'm not saying the word obviously or apparently, because apparently I've just said apparently again, because I do have a counter, I've been told, for saying obviously and apparently. But we are led to be believed, according to senior sources, that there is a potential of him maybe being on the bench for the Arsenal game. If not, the Leicester City game. Who knows? Suchek's undroppable. I think you're right at the moment. We don't need hot head playing and being like a ball and trying something getting booked. Indeed, we don't get West Ham shirts in, so any item for any Christmas would be nice. I fancy a draw. Trevor, always welcome for my sack. Always welcome from gifts for my sack, as the actress said to the bishop, or the bishop said to the actress. The actress to be the actor to the bishop. Just comment, and you never know. As I said, 24 prizes. We've got, signed stuff. You know what we always give. Maybe Christmas Eve we might give away a signed football or something a bit special Christmas Eve, and the last couple of days leading up to it. But yeah. And as always, any channel members, you might get into your monthly draws as well on top. Fancy clean sheets. Newcastle away was positive because we played a lot better, a lot of cohesion and a plan, and the team. What's that? What's he said? What's she got? Flo just texted me. What she said? Flo just texted me the most random thing. What's she got? Resilient, huh? Oh, I think that's her. Oh, she's on the student council. I hope so too. Did your barber not offer to give you a shave? Rude. Why did he choose to unleash his plan? Who knows? Where else would you get talking about his time only in West Ham? Exactly. Where else? Where else would you get in the last month and a bit? José Ben-Aoun and Slaven Bilic. And hopefully we've got another one lined up. He'll be a good one as well. Really looking forward to that. And then at the end of the season, we've got a good one at the end of the season. But we need to sort of put the final date in. That's the end of the season. But we always keep plugging away. Imagine if you unleashed the Newcastle team against Everton. Indeed, I thought I had hacked when Slav disappeared to stop him talking about it. Michael, he was talking so much, his battery on his phone ran out. That's how much he wanted to talk to us. Does anyone look finer in a home kit than Soler? Very handsome man. JLo on the bench. He is. JLo will not be in the dugout. I imagine he'll be sitting up. So basically, his team. You've got the people at the bench, and you've got 4 or 5 of them in the press box. So obviously they get like a bigger. You'd be like Big Sam used to do. Do you remember? He used to sort of watch the first half up top and then go. So that's what he does. So I imagine he'll be sitting up there, and someone will be down there on the old walkie-talkie. Nice. You get home for a shit shave and shower off the. Yeah, but it's a shave. I wonder if he's cut his beard like Samson, and it all goes back to normal. It'll take Falco 2 months. It will, but he'll. But in terms of being on the bench, come on for 20 minutes and stuff, that's more than happy. Let's have it right. You name the hair you had cut. You deserve a prize. Very good. My promise is this: if you win anything, I'll donate it to someone else in the chat. If I donate it, if it's useful to them, very good. Who has the best hair, Cresswell or Soler? Good question. Let me know. Soler, he reckons. Might be too clever. It's nice, budgie. On the other hand, we'll happily glow. Indeed. We have the haircut from the guys in Cape Town. Indeed. I know Loppy won't be in the gods. I think he will be. I think he'll be sitting up there. I think I'll walk past him. If I see him, I'll do a little snap. Got to get back. Thank you very, very much. Take care, mate. Cresswell has got the best barnet in world football. I had to say, I think Mark Noble had a really good haircut. Thoughts on Pogba joining? I'm not sure, but he's experienced now. It won't happen, mate. It won't happen. Not for West Ham. Do you know? I could see him joining like a Fulham or someone like that. Don't know why. Just seems the type of, or something somewhere random for half a season. But he'll only be able to play from March, won't he? I think. But yeah, actually, any old friends of the channel here, I saw the Beast of Hornchurch. I saw the Beast of Hornchurch yesterday. Danny Ings has the best hair. It's actually been donated by Brad Pitt, but technically, I mean, it's still his hair because it's from the back. They take it from the back, don't they, and put it on top. So it is his hair, but just been rejigged, isn't it? Been reformatted. It's meaningless to send a manager to the stand, especially in modern. Indeed, it's pointless now, isn't it? It's pointless. I mean, there is some. I wonder if he might sit in the director's box, maybe, but there is some sort of a little bit of immediacy loss. But Yeah. On the bright side, if the fans can't get fat, Frank, indeed, a new Coventry City head coach. I'm going to put the if anyone wants to come and have a chat on camera, I put the StreamYard link in there, so you can come and join us. It is Have Your Say Friday. What I will do is if you want to call us, where is it? Have I got the number here? If you want to call us, put the number in. Don't have to. You can interact in the chat, all that good stuff. But if you do want to have a chat on the phone or via the internet, then you can do. So I just leave that there for a bit. I know I haven't mentioned, and actually I thought it'd gone, but I did tell you I saw it be walked. So I think it's that massive cat. Someone sent me a message of a cat. It could be. It's a type Coburn or something like. It's a name of a breed of cat, but it looks like a fucking tiger. No, more like a panther. Jaguar. That's what it looked like. And I saw him. It was like, wow, and she's been walked, or it was being walked. I don't know. Didn't ask the pronouns. So we'll just call it. Mancoon, that was it. But it's a big Mancoon. So Antonio came over, he didn't. He's the beast of London Stadium. No, this was the beast of Hornchurch. But I tell you, the beast of Hornchurch is our massive 8-foot teddy outside, inflatable teddy bear. If you haven't seen it, it's a sight to behold. Have I still got a picture of it? Have I deleted it? Look at that. Beast of Hornchurch on the right hand side there. Inflatable 8-foot teddy bear. Massive. Absolutely bloody huge. Best thing about new is that will not be coming to haunt us. Indeed. Very true. I think it's probably given. Well, again, we were led to be believed that he could well lose he could have lost his job if he'd had a heavy defeat. I think it's incredible, sort of like, and it just for me, it just shows football, how things change in 24 hours. If you looked at West Ham Twitter, that's, on Monday during the day compared to Tuesday during the day, it was almost like an optimism transplant had been put in with the fan base. It was so much of a nicer place than it was on Monday morning. And it just shows that, we don't want a lot. We don't need a lot. We just need a performance and to see something, and the fans will get behind it. The fans are supporters, and they will support the club, but they'll only support the club if there's stuff on the pitch for them to support. Same as what we've always said, like pre-match we said, the fans always give 100, give it at the beginning of the match. But if there's nothing on the pitch for them to replicate, then we'll go quiet. Now we're going to bring in Alex. Alex is bravely going to join us. Let's bring you in. How are we doing? How are you, mate?
I'm doing really well, thank you. How are you doing, Russ?
Yeah, not too bad. How cold or warm are you at the moment?
I'm fucking freezing, mate. I'm literally sat in my bed right now. I've come down from Manchester, where I'm at university, to spend Thanksgiving with my mum. So I'm happy to be home. I can't lie. I got my dogs here and stuff, which is obviously always a good mood lifter. But the real mood lifter for me was on Monday, Russ. It really was, mate. I was ecstatic. I can't lie. Like everyone else, I was feeling pretty beaten down going into the Newcastle game. And, as much as I want to give the Sky Sports commentators and the pundits a bit of shit for having zero faith in us, I'd love to, but I had very little faith in ourselves as well. However, I have to say that, where I'm not so naive to allow one performance to completely differentiate my view on how things have gone this season, I must say that was exactly what I needed to start at least believing a little bit in what Lopetegui is here to do. I thought that was our absolute, that was our first performance where I looked like not only, the players looked like they know what they're doing, but also Lopetegui actually looked like he knew what he was doing. Like, I thought when he was on the sideline screaming hands all over the place at the time, I was almost laughing because it looked like, I honestly thought multiple times I saw a couple of players roll their eyes at him while he's screaming at them. And I know when you go from someone like Moyes, who's a bit like, I've told you what you need to do in the change room. And as much as he would give instructions, it's nowhere near as animated as Lopetegui. And I was worried to a certain extent, that they were kind of like, oh, you know, not to be rude, Russ, but fuck these, you know, fuck this guy, like who's he think he is and stuff like that. But I think that you know, it really showed me that the players do believe, at least in that system, and that if they do follow a system, you know, I mean, we were watching all our midfielders collect the ball, Russ, and they didn't know what to do with it. Like, they had no idea, and I found it, you know, outrageously frustrating. But for me, I thought when whoever picked up the ball, whereas they might have not done it perfectly, they had an idea what they want to do. They want to ping it out to the wingers. They want to play quickly to get themselves out of danger before making this stupid long ball pass up to no one. And whereas I think Fabianski's distribution still left a little bit to be desired, I must say I was still impressed, and I weirdly think he did a better job of being a more sweeper keeper than Areola has done this season. I thought that sort of extra layer between our, you know, rather high back line to previous seasons at times, whereas I know we did drop in with the 4-5-1 and make it very narrow for Newcastle to get through. I thought for the most part, you know, particularly when we were 2-0 up and we were still looking for a third goal, Russ, I thought it was night and day, pal. I thought it was night and day. And I thought that was one of my biggest gripes with the Moyes era. It's not that I didn't think he did fantastic for us, but it was actually that I found it frustrating that I thought we allowed teams to come at us. And while I understand the rationale behind frustrating particular bigger teams by making them, you know, have all these crosses similar to like we did with Newcastle when we were dropping in, I thought that, you know, we left it too long, and, you know, we can't just wait for one counter every 15, 20 minutes and you know, hope that one comes off. I just didn't think that there was much of an idea going forward, and I thought that Moyes focused too much on defensively, whereas I think that's a base for Lopetegui, but I think ultimately he wants to get the ball forward, and he, you know, and you see actually the biggest thing for me is how many players are actually committed to going forward. You actually see in Moyes' era, you'd see the Benramas, the Bowens and the Antonios going up as a 3, maybe Paqueta coming in, but he'd usually be lagging a bit behind, so he'd barely be on the edge of the box by the time they all enter it. But I think now you've got Souček, you've got Soler, you've got Paqueta, and the front 3 all in and around the box, and it just means that when those crosses come in, which, can we just say, Jared Bowen has been absolutely unbelievable at getting those little, like he'll looks like he drives, and obviously everyone's expecting him to cut in, but he knows that, so he's been taking it quickly on the outside, and then with his weaker foot, he's been unbelievably accurate at getting those balls in and across the box. The one with Wan-Bissaka, I mean, obviously it was silly for Longstaff to leave, you know, Aaron Wan-Bissaka to run into that space. But, you know, Jared Bowen to find that little ball between their legs was fantastic, I thought. And to be honest, as much as, you know, people, I saw a couple of Newcastle fans being like, you know, still smash and grab stuff. And I could understand that. But I thought in the second half, we dominated them. We really did. I thought we looked how we made Newcastle look how we looked, which was out of ideas a lot of this season. And I thought that was, you know, very motivating. As I'm sure you are, Russ, I'm very much looking forward to see how we cope against Arsenal. I have to say, I'm going to start putting money on West Ham again. Like, you know, maybe that's just my my ignorance as a West Ham fan. But you know, that was the one thing I was worried about losing when Lopetegui had come in for the first sort of 7-8 games of the season. Is that you know, even with Moyes, even though we would have shit performances, I always thought we could get something out of this today. You know, like we really could. Like we could sneak something here. With Lopetegui, I haven't really felt that in many games. I kind of started with that sort of confidence, especially with what I saw, even in parts in pre-season. I like the fact we were playing the ball around a bit more, granted against worse opposition in some regards. But obviously I lost that. Now I'm very excited to see how we are going forward, going into a very busy part of the season. It's going to be a lot of games to watch, a lot of games to really analyze. And, you know, as I said, while I'm not going to go over the top with this, I'm looking forward to watching football again, which is so important. And it, you know, I think, you know, I heard it from, I had a friend who ran into Souček, who was up in Newcastle on the Monday, and Souček is imploring with him, being like, you know, you guys carry us, you really do. Like when you get us like that, it doesn't matter how far up we are. I mean, I was watching the broadcast and I must have heard them the whole game. You know,
brilliant. It's brilliant.
I know our away support is second to none in the Prem compared to everyone else. But, you know, Souček rightly said, I know we need to give you the reason to cheer. And I think that's going to be a big thing about our home form again, is if Lopetegui can get 2 or 3 wins together, there's going to be a different type of energy when the players come out to that stadium. There's, having that lack of confidence that a lot of us have had up until this point has really kind of like nullified the noise, I think. And even when I've chosen, me and my poor dad have chosen some pretty poor games to go to this season. Obviously, the Everton one this year and the one at home last year, which is a 1-0 defeat, the one last year, and obviously a 0-0 this time. Frustrating games to watch, but I actually thought that in the sections of fans I was in, they were brilliant, all of us. And even if you are making a little bit of light of a rather dull situation, but I did actually have a question for you, Russ. If you don't, I just wanted to know, like, if you were to sort of not put your money on, but if you were to sort of, based off of our sort of fixtures over, I guess, up until the new year, how many points are you kind of hoping that we can achieve?
Well, I think, as you said, I think at the moment we've got a situation where we've got a lot of games coming very, very close. I mean, I think realistically, I think we'll get I think we'll get a point tomorrow. I really do. I just think no one's really, apart from Liverpool, no one is going for it. Where Liverpool are like so far. I mean, how can Man City have lost all these games but still be second?
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? So no one's taking sort of the emphasis. And I mean, we've got some tough games, but I think after Saturday, after tomorrow, we do have a reasonable run. Looking at the fixtures, you got Leicester, we got Wolves, you got Bournemouth away. Brighton's always tricky, but Southampton and obviously Liverpool and sort of Liverpool on the 29th. So I would think you get 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8, 9 points, maybe 8, 9 points. So
that's about where I put it too. That's about
I mean Leicester's going to be. It depends if Ruud's in charge by then. He could well be. He could well be in charge by Saturday, Sunday, maybe.
Is Ruud van Nistelrooy taking over Leicester?
Looks like it. Looks like that's going to be the one. Yeah, looks like Ruud rather than Moyes, which is good for us.
Yeah, I was actually, unlike some people who are kind of like, I want him off the market so we don't get him back, which I think is crazy. But I was worried about Moyes going to Leicester because I thought that somehow they'd become one of our biggest problems in terms of points.
Exactly.
A team where you'd hope, with the quality of players we now have in comparison, that we would be picking 6 points up against every season. You put a manager like Moyes with them, and you start to see, maybe a 1 point out of 2 games, or maybe 3 and then a loss. But he'll thrive in a role like that, in my opinion, which is why I'm actually surprised they've opted not to go for him. I think he's not
a sexy choice. I mean, to be honest, it's not really looking at it, it's the table. I mean, it's still not firefighter type. It's been only 12 games gone. So if it was 20 games gone or something like that, with where and they were like floundering, like a Crystal Palace come February time, if they're sort of still languishing there, then you'd think someone like a Moyes would come in a firefighter role. Van Nistelrooy he's a sexy manager, and he's a name. He's got a bit of pedigree behind him.
Yeah,
and he's still obviously sniffing around for a Premier League job rather than going outside the UK for one. So I think that doesn't go in our favour. But obviously Wolves, we tend to play well against Wolves at our gaff. Bournemouth away. If we keep this momentum going, we usually last couple of games we've had quite a decent run out against Bournemouth away.
I think so too. I was at the cup game versus them, Russ, and while it was only a 1-0 win, I mean, I thought while they looked dangerous, and actually probably in that game, if I remember correctly, I actually do think they had some more chances than we would have had. But obviously, I'm definitely not gonna complain about taking. Obviously, we then went on to get battered by Liverpool in the cup, so it's about it. But I think we can do something with Bournemouth. I really like their manager though, I think he's been fantastic. And actually, it was funny because I have a friend who's a Bournemouth fan, and he was saying that they were kind of having a similar thing with Iraola at the start, where he lost a bunch of games. They were in a really, really, really bad position, even in a relegation battle as of last year. And then obviously things started to click. They got a few more players in, and then obviously now they're in a position where they really could be definitely in that sort of 10, 11, 12 mark, I think, is where Bournemouth will finish this season. I think they've got the quality to it. I actually, weirdly, with Bournemouth as well, I really like their left back, Milos Kerkez. Obviously,
we were linked. We were linked to him, weren't we, as well?
I remember your Hammers headline when we were linked to him after because he was at PSV before, right?
No, it was we played him out. Well, it was at AZ Alkmaar.
That's it. Pardon me. Yeah, AZ Alkmaar. And I was looking at him. I was like, God, I'd love him. And then he went to Bournemouth, and I'm thinking that is such a shrewd signing from them. It really is. And then obviously, while I think they overpaid, Evan Nilsson's a fantastic signing as well. But actually, they've got a centre back who I watched play for them in the cup, Dean Højgårdsson.
Dejan Højgårdsson, from Juventus, I think he was at.
I believe so, yeah. And he looks like he'll take a few years, but he looks like a very high IQ centre back, which is something that as I've grown a bit older, as much as I love a proper marauder like Mavropanos is going to break someone, I do like the sort of like smart, elegant centre back as well, who's got a good pass on him and all of that. The only thing I wanted to sort of talk about with you, Russ, is the team with Kudus coming back into it. Yeah. I'm really, really struggling with this one. I've spoken to a lot of friends about it, and I think my biggest issue is that I actually don't feel it's right or fair to remove Somerville from that team, although it's what I'm sure is going to happen, considering the midfield three has been such an issue. It would be unwise of Lopetegui to change those three, which is why it's got to be one of Bowen, Antonio, or Somerville to come out, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think right. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, in all honesty, if he takes Antonio out.
Ooh, but then who plays up front? Would it be Bowen?
Bowen and Kudus. I don't like Bowen up front, but I think Kudus has probably got more about him now. Now, ideally, he would be, we don't know what's going to happen with Paqueta. So, I mean, obviously, for me, Kudus' best position is at 10.
Me too.
And he's wasting the left-hand side.
Essentially is his like bread and butter, isn't it? It really is. Exactly. It makes such a big difference for him to have that extra space in the middle to shift around, And he just you think they trap him, and then he just flicks it over them all. Like he's absolutely brilliant. I think my only thought process, and I did see this on Twitter, so it's not the best source of information, but I do love conversations on there, I must say. And one of them was suggesting that Kudus, they think, which I don't know how they can justify it, but they are thinking Kudus come out for Souček. Come in for Souček, and their thought process behind that is that while we lose Souček's heading ability, and obviously his work rate is just second to none, the way he drags himself up and down the pitch, their thought process behind that was they thought that the double pivot of Paqueta and Soler was so effective in actually allowing us to do what Lopetegui wants in terms of building out, that it will give opportunity. Having a second runner there like Kudus next to Antonio, close to it, might be really, really beneficial. And I think the only thing that would completely nullify is our sort of consistently taking long goal kicks and then hoping Souček gets on the end of them. I mean, I find it funny, he sort of trots up there, Russ, and he knows the balls are coming his way, but half the time he's also there for cleanup as well, because even if the centre backs head it out, he's very smart at dropping off them and then being like, I didn't get that ball, where's the next ball coming to? And that's what we will be missing with him. But I personally don't think we can take that out of the team, but I also don't think you can afford not to start Kudus with the quality of player he is, and particularly with teams circling him at the moment. I don't want to give him a reason to go in January, I'll be honest. I think he's gone this summer. I don't think he's going to go in January. But I think when it comes to Kudus, I mean, it's going to be fascinating to see how it works. But but it's a nice problem to have. Do you know what I mean? Usually, West Ham under Moyes, in all honesty, it was 11 players, and it feels like we've got a squad now, or we're starting to build a squad. So Kudus, as you said, if it means dropping Somerville, the Championship Player of the Year, to bring in Kudus, who's arguably our best player, and then you've got, potentially, maybe by the time you play Leicester City, we could have Folk on the bench. So again, opportunity there. You've got Bowen, you've got the midfield, you've got Alvarez to come back into the side, into the squad on tomorrow. Was he injured, Alvarez? Sorry.
No, he was suspended, wasn't he? He was
Oh, he
suspended.
was suspended, of course. Yeah, pardon me.
Yeah, so he's back into the. He'll be back into the squad. Does he get dropped? Does Soler get dropped for him, and they go back to a double pivot? I don't know. There's so many options in that sort of
Yeah,
six. It's really exciting, and he might even it might go to a back three, and we just don't know. So it's great, and if we're led
he's
to be
nice to have
believed,
for sure.
there's a few exactly, and we've led to be believed there's a few. We're looking at maybe bringing in another, sort of first team, a centre half, maybe another striker, maybe in January. And when
I
you've
wonder
got
why
that
we
another
haven't
two,
gone for the free agent Solé, because I know we were linked
yeah,
to a bunch in the summer. And I mean, look, I'll be absolutely lying to you, Russ, if I said I've watched him play football consistently. However, I did actually, because I believe he was RB Salzburg, wasn't he?
I think so.
Wasn't
Yeah,
Leipzig, yeah. And I haven't seen a huge amount of him, but I thought he looked, kind of what we need in terms of a
yeah,
young
yeah.
centre. And
I
again,
mean,
it's an option. He's still young. He's only 23 from what
I don't think he's gone anywhere, is he? Because he had his contract terminated, didn't he? And I don't think he's actually gone anywhere. Yeah, I don't think so. Oh no, so we're not gonna get him. He's joining Udinese on the 1st of January,
Oh,
apparently.
that
Well, there we go. That explains it.
that
But
makes sense. Yeah, him and Evan Ferguson would have been my two signing preferences. I mean, that's considering, and I personally don't think it's likely this happens, because I actually don't think. I think the stuff going around about Guido Rodriguez is partly inaccurate. Not that he is not fast enough, because he's not fast enough for the Prem. We've seen that clearly. But I think the notion that, even though it is from people close to him, that he's fed up with London, or he's, again, I actually agree with a lot of people, which, like, he's not given it enough of a chance. And while he might have found that he's been exposed slightly in the Premier League, I also don't think he's given himself enough time to adapt. I still think his mindset and his IQ is set in a very much La Liga based playing style. I mean, I even look at him receive the ball sometimes for us, and I'm watching a player that is used to having an extra 2 or 3 seconds on the ball
yeah,
to make
exactly.
his pass. And I truly believe that playing and him getting used to that will change. I think he'll know. I don't know if that will maybe affect the accuracy of his passing and his ability to, but I do think that that's something that we've seen so many players come over and have an issue with. Like, I
Exactly.
won't accept the notion that this is a problem that's unique to Guido Rodriguez. Well, I think it's probably the most clear, in terms of what he's having issues with. I don't think that it is the be all and end all for him, and I actually think that he as a player has a lot more to offer. I haven't enjoyed people writing him off so quick when he's still got a lot to learn. And I know
Yeah.
he's a player of age, and I had my dad going to me, "Can't teach an old dog new tricks," and I'm like, I think it's a little bit
I
different.
mean, look at Fabianski. You say
Oh,
that, but look at
yeah.
Fabianski. I mean, the last game. I
Aging
mean,
like fine wine, Russ, isn't he? He really
exactly,
is.
and now he's sort of a ball playing, goalkeeper. He sort of dipped the shoulder a couple of times, and it's like, I totally agree. But I think the thing about Guedo is, I mean, as you said, I think naturally his style of football does suit more of a slow paced league. I think, in all honesty, I think he will probably go in January. I think he will go. Back to Betis, as we all know, probably about £2.5 million. Basically, if they can pay his signing on fee, we'll call it quits. We are being linked to a couple of more centre midfielders. I mean, the fact is, at the moment, if this is the way that Lopetegui wants to play, there's no place for him really in the squad apart from being backup, which is how I thought he was originally going to be used.
I thought so too.
Um,
I was very surprised to see him start as many games as he did. While I knew he had a very strong reputation in Spain, I
yeah,
didn't I didn't think when we bought him that he was a great fit for the Premier League. But it was kind of like all of us going, "Oh, if he's free," and it was, how we've been terrible over the years with our choice in free transfers. We really
yeah,
have. So, I was kind of high hopes in terms of just, and the few friends I have who have been in Spain have actually sung his praises massively. I mean, I have a friend who's an Osasuna fan, and he watched Guido Rodriguez single-handedly pick them apart. I mean, like,
yeah,
literally started every counter attack for Betis, and they destroyed Osasuna that game. But he did highlight the similar issues. I mean, if I was to go for a centre midfielder though, Russ, I'd probably go, and again, I know it's high risk, but I'd go for that Richard Rios for Palmeiras, the Colombian guy.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
obviously, I will say that my first bit of content I consumed about him was a overhyped, highlight TikTok that he looked all elegant with his cowboy hat
yeah,
on. But further watching him, and actually, I've got a couple of streaming sites. God, don't get me for that. That I've watched some of the Brazilian league because I'm actually really interested in that Esteval kid as well,
yeah,
who's obviously going to Chelsea. Came up with both Endrick and Guilherme
yeah,
at Palmeiras together, and Rios has been actually the standout. While I think Esteval's been brilliant, I think in that midfield he is a standout player, and he's one of those central defensive midfielders with still this elegance to him where he's able to get himself out of tight situations as well as he's got a strike on him. And my favorite type of midfielder is an all action one. It's
yeah,
similar.
yeah.
I was so keen on that. The two players I really wanted for our midfield and I thought would be perfect, well, three players actually, are Kefren Turan. I thought he was brilliant. I thought he would have added a really nice mix with both Paqueta and Alvarez in that midfield, kind of in a similar style to Rice, where he takes the ball and he drives up for us because he's got
Yeah,
that
definitely.
stride. And I actually really liked O'Reilly and Manu Kone as well, who both have obviously gone to Brighton, and then Kone to Roma as well, which is a shame because I think the price that Kone went for, while I know there's a Premier League tax, it was highly attainable for us.
Definitely.
O'Reilly less so, but I still think O'Reilly is going to really start to show out for Brighton. I mean,
I
I was
agree.
watching him, and again, hard to get a real gist for it, but O'Reilly in pre-season was making me lick my lips. Honestly, he was brilliant for Celtic, and one of those midfielders similar to Souček, which is why I kind of made the link and I signed him in my FIFA career modes as a Souček replacement once he retired, was because he's this sort of huge bloke who can get in the box and get on the end of headers as
Definitely.
well as having a nice finish. And his best asset, O'Reilly, similar to Souček, is his timing. Well, as I doubt that O'Reilly has a similar work rate to Souček, their sort of IQ and positioning is both a really big factor for them as players. Really big.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I definitely think that midfield is something we're looking at. I think with Guerrero, I could see Guerrero be moved out. We've been linked to the Motherwell midfielder, a young lad, 18, but he's and people go, oh, he's only 18, but we've got Lewis Orford, we've got Freddie Potts, but he's already made like 12 appearances in the Scottish Premier League already this season. Lennon Miller, his name is. And he'd be valuable about £5 million, and he's one of Motherwell's best prospects, they reckon, of all time. So it's an area we're definitely looking into. I think Ricardo Rios. I think he's definitely, as I said, with Brazilian players, the January transfer window is more likely, to get these players than the summer one, just because of the way the Brazilian league works.
Yeah.
And I think there's obviously obviously we would have had conversations with Palmeiras, obviously with Luis Guilherme. So obviously there's an open communication path there.
Exactly. Yeah.
I definitely think we'll end up being linked to him. I can see someone like Amarin wanting him as well for Man United, because he would fit in quite well, I think, with United as well in terms of the way they play. So
in that double pivot in that 3-4-3, it's so important to have on those midfielders that can do it all right. And interestingly, I saw an article earlier about a United a website that was saying Rios would be perfect, but I mean, he's already got Ugarte and Kobe Mainu, who arguably I think would be a good fit. Not saying that they wouldn't benefit from having some depth, but again, I think the issue that United are going to have is offloading players. I think they've got a lot of those players on big contracts, and they've still got 2 or 3 years to run down.
It's a bit similar to us, really. I mean, we needed that sort of we needed last summer we needed major surgery, and we had to rip the plaster off, and we had to get rid of the likes of Zuma, again, these guys, been around now. It needs freshening up, and it still needs some more. And in the summer, obviously, we've got Ings, Antonio, Soufal, Cress, Fabs. They're all out of contract, technically. And so it could be another sort of not as big a rebuild job, but and then obviously for me that gives the opportunity to the likes of Freddie Potts, the likes of Christian Heggie, the likes of to come in, and then straight away we've got one of the youngest squads in the Premier League.
Yeah,
we've got over 30-year-olds. Then,
do you think that? So, do you think next season's a realistic expectation to have a lot of those players not only come back, but as we were sort of alluding to there, actually stay within the squad. Because I'd love to see it, but I don't know if it's past West Ham that's giving me a little bit of lack of faith on that.
I
But
think realistically, I think you look at the guys who've gone out on loan. I think with Christian Heggie, for example, he's basically at Motherwell and he's their number 2 goalkeeper. So he is their Areola at the moment.
yeah.
You don't go, and it's quite obvious he was going to be the backup goalkeeper.
Yeah.
So for me, it's almost like they're sort of give him a year of getting used to being on the bench. That's the way it's sort of, for me. And someone like Lopetegui is obviously an ex-goalkeeper. It wouldn't surprise me maybe if we get another goalkeeper in. If Fabianski goes, because then you've only got Wes, and Wes is very much the training ground goalkeeper. Really.
He's exactly what his surname suggests. He's fodder.
Exactly. He'll be the one doing the little passing and shooting drills, and he'll be in goal.
He's basically there to warm up the other keepers as well. Not to, by the way, to disrespect him at all.
But that's his role.
Well, and I think that would have been clarified when signing him. I don't think he would have ever expected to start. I think he was probably happy to get a run out in pre-season, let alone any time in the Premier League. The only thing I think with the keepers is we have quite a few coming through. I mean, isn't that Finley Herrick we just signed? He's meant to be fantastic. And actually, when I saw him in one of the youth matches on YouTube the other night, I thought he was brilliant. I thought
he's good.
A bunch of really good saves.
Really good. Not the biggest.
All down the pecking order then, or does he just become that third slot?
Well, I think Heggie comes back and Finn's is the under 21 goalkeeper. He isn't the biggest. I'll be honest. He's quite slight of a frame, and he's not particularly tall, but he's got a good leap on him. He's good with his feet. He's very much a modern day goalkeeper. We've always got Mason Terry, who's smashing it. Obviously he's still involved in but he's out. He's technically out on loan with AFC Hornchurch, but because they're an amateur sort of part-time aside, he still trains with the academy. And actually he's still on the bench on the 21s and stuff when Hornchurch aren't playing. So I think goalkeeper-wise, we've got some good youngsters coming through. I think. And then that sort of progresses. So you think with Cresswell going, then you'd like to think that would give a place for Ollie Scarles, but then Ollie Scarles isn't playing left back at the moment for the academy. He's playing more sort of led.
He was unbelievable when he came in a couple campaigns ago during the Europa Conference. I thought he looked, out of the youth players I've seen come in and play for us, he looked most naturally comfortable in coming into the first team like that. And I heard some stuff about him going through a massive growth spurt, the poor guy. I mean, he grew like 4 inches in half a year or something like crazy like that. But I thought he's looked good, but I think the reason I liked the idea of a left back coming through is because I like the idea of a natural successor to Cresswell. I thought that would be awesome to have someone come in and slot. And I know he's a player that can play in 3 or 4 positions, which the problem I have with academy players like that is that sometimes, as we've mentioned before, you've mentioned before on this show, there's a risk of them getting shoehorned where we need them rather than where they're suited to. Therefore, we're not really getting the full idea of what their capability is. I mean, the other player that we've got coming through that you've spoken a great deal about is the I can't remember his first name, but Golombekis.
Edris Golombekis, yeah. A few years, you got a few years for him to come through, but because he's only just turned 17. But as I said, if you're looking at succession plan, you're thinking maybe you got Kilman for another 3-4 years, maybe, same with Todabo, maybe they're going to hit 30, they might move on or whatnot. You're thinking, I think Kalen will be in and around. I still don't think Kalen's the answer, but I think Edris is going to be the answer. I just think he's just, you talk about that sort of clever centre half who's not Ginger Pele. He's not a bruiser. He's not a Dawson. He's a ball playing centre half. And if he carries on going the way he's going, I think he'll you'll have a hell of a good player there. I mean, he was one of the top. He's one of the I think it's a Guardian do the top 20 sort of youngsters.
Oh yes,
in terms of future stars, and he was in that this year. So, which is a great and previous ones have been. Lewis has been in there. I think Kalen's been in there, so I think George Earthy's been in there as well. So that's the trajectory they're going. But
it's good.
I think he's going to be good. And as I said, you look and I think the way I would see it next year is Freddie Potts comes into the squad and then Lewis goes out on loan, because I think that's what Lewis needs. He needs some loan football, he needs some men's football.
I totally agree. And I
And then
think
George will come back, and I think George will come back and will go into the squad. And particularly if Kudus leaves, you've got Lewis Guilherme in there, but then you've got George Earthy coming in.
Would you be opposed to seeing Lewis get some starts between now and the end of the season?
I wouldn't be, but I don't think it's going to happen. In all honesty, that's why for me, and I've always said it's like I could see him maybe getting some squad appearances, like being in the match day squad.
Yeah,
definitely. And again, that probably depends how far we go in the FA Cup. In all honesty, I think. But I think with Lewis, I think he's getting 10 minutes, getting 5 minutes against Cheltenham Town in the FA Cup. He's going to do him fuck all, really. I wouldn't be averse to, but I think even a January loan move wouldn't make sense, because the team you'd go to are already established, unless he's going for like a team which is bang in the middle of League One or bang in the middle of League Two, who aren't going to get in the playoffs, who aren't going to be relegated, and then get a run of games. Because otherwise, when the pressure's on, we know managers and coaches will go with their preferred players to get into the playoffs or to stop them from relegation.
People trust, obviously,
exactly. A bit like Moyes did. Every time Moyes needed a result, he went back to his generals. Cresswell would get into the side, and Souček would be there, and it'd be all his Soufal, all these guys, and they'd get a result 9 times out of 10. But I think with Lewis, for me, it'd be next season he comes in, maybe to replace Freddie Potts at Portsmouth next year, or Wickham, or someone like that.
I like that. I like the way Pompey are treating Potts. I really do, and I've seen some chatter on Twitter about him, and they're very respectful. Like, especially when he came in at first, and there was a few. I actually saw other Portsmouth fans defending Freddie, because they were like, give him a fucking bit of time, mate. There was a few getting on his back, being like, why do we even bother bringing him in on loan? And they're like, someone just reminded him, like, you got no risk here. Like, if he comes off good, like absolutely brilliant, and we might have a starter on our hands here. If he doesn't, he's still, we're not paying much for him at all, are they, realistically? So I didn't, but he's really gone on. And from what I understand, I haven't actually caught any Pompey games, if I'm being entirely honest with you, Russ, but I've heard he's been doing progressively better for them, which for me is awesome, because I thought I was actually kind of one of the few who was hoping that Potts would stay for the season, whereas I don't think he would have got much game time. I would have loved for him to be consistently involved in the squad. I kind of want him to be our Rice, just because I've actually met Freddie as well, and he's such a lovely boy.
Lovely guy.
He's similar age to me, in fact, a little bit younger, but so mature, so like head switched on, loves his football. And I think a lot of them, they get kind of a lot of youth players can get kind of like hung up on the sort of like look of being a football rather than like getting down and nitty gritty. And Freddie just puts his head down and he gets on with it, and I really like that. I also think that, unlike a lot of our youth players, Freddie's done a really good job of filling out his frame. When I saw him when he was younger, he was quite scrawny is so rude. I don't mean to be like that.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
He was a lot frailer. Now he's really filled out, and from the few things I have seen from clips in the Championship, he doesn't look like he's getting bullied at all. He does not look like he's getting bullied, which I think is a really good indicator to see how they'll slot in. Obviously, the Prem's always going to be a lot faster, but having that ability to keep up physically with the Championship, it's a tough task. And I've heard it from many players who have played in the Championship that they, if you're not up to it physically, you're going to get bullied. Even these smaller wingers, they find it really challenging. I mean, even if you remember Jaden Philogene from last year, a big factor for him progressing was filling out his frame a little bit more. So, if he knocks it round a player, the player doesn't just shove him out the way as he tries to go around him. Do you know what I mean? He actually has that extra bit of strength and center of gravity to, get around him and push on with the ball. Again, a player I really was hoping we'd look at too. Not that I am not happy with Somerville. I think he's been fantastic, but I thought Philogene looked like an absolute class player as well.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I think it's hindsight's always a great thing with these things, isn't it? And it's so, I think that the plan of how to deal with that progression from the academy, from the under 21s into the first team, there is a plan there, and that's the job of Kenny, and it's the job of Mark, to do that. And it does seem there is that plan in place, but it's not. But and it will for Freddie Potts. It's taken. They've had a 2-year plan. Basically go from the League One now the Championship. So then you can go into the Premier League. That sort of makes sense. That's quite a clever way of building up his sort of resume. And I think, as I said, coming next season, I think you could see him being in and around the first team squad for sure. Which for West Ham fans, he's an academy boy. He's obviously one of the Potts dynasty as well. So there's that sort of heritage, and so we'd all be behind him anyway. And so I think that's, to me, is the clearest one of going forward. Same as I think George comes back next year, and I would like to, and I imagine he will be in and around the first team as well next year.
Have you seen the role he's been playing for Bristol? I watched a video on it. He had a stellar performance. I don't think he quite won man the match, but he was slotted into, I think, a left mid role, I believe.
He's been playing sort of left mid, right mid. He's been put on the wing. He's been sort of transitioning from me to the wing. I mean, he's playing well. He's got injured. He was injured, and then he obviously missed his place because lost his place because of that. And then he's sort of getting back. And I think actually the Bristol City fans seem to really get behind him. And really, so for me,
I agree.
So it seems that they're really happy that he's back in the squad. There's a couple of concerns that he wasn't getting back into the squad when he was a fit. He was on the bench, and now he's been sort of eased back in from his injury, and now he's we started the last couple of games, and I think those two for me are the ones which could see. And then again, there's even more within the academy. As I said, there's Junior Robinson is a guy that I think has it. He's.
Where does he play? Sorry, Russ. I'm not too familiar with his.
So he plays more like he reminds me of like Carl Walker.
Okay.
Fast, aggressive. Fast, aggressive, on the front foot, attack-minded defender. Plays sort of because obviously they play sort of 3-4-3 or in terms of the academy. So he's more like a right wing back. But you're thinking next year, if Soufal goes, I would love to see Junior being given that sort of deputy role to Aaron Wan-Bissaka. They're very similar players, I think, really. They both like the ball. I think Aaron's taken a lot of us by surprise in terms of how much ball he's been getting.
I don't know if he's been asked to do that or if he always had that in his locker and he was told not to do that for United. But because I had no idea how elegant he was on the ball as well. I mean, similar to genuinely, I know I've been using that word elegant a lot, so I apologize. But genuinely, Aaron Wan-Bissaka's got some good feet on him. He really does. And it's impressed me massively. Whereas I do agree with United from what I've seen in his final product, just in terms of like crosses and stuff like that. I think he looks a little bit unconfident. But I don't have any. I'm under no impression that I don't. I really do believe that he can develop that side of his game. I really do. And I think that him getting into those positions is almost as important as what he then does with them, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I agree.
I've been very happy to see the sort of contribution he's been making to our attacking, because I think while Soufal did, and I really liked the combination that Bowen and Soufal had. I think everyone and their mum knew exactly what Soufal was doing when he ran to the line. Like it, there was no. I mean, and there was almost sometimes where I thought to him, just tap the ball back, let the player slide past you, and then make your cross, because he would almost, and like, not that it's a bad thing for us winning corners, because we are good for them. We are good with them with the amount of aerial threat that we do have. I just think Wan-Bissaka kind of has that nice where he's coming on the inside, he's going on the outside, and it's just giving us another dimension to our attack, which is making it hard for teams to guess what we're going to do. I was talking about that with Bowen earlier as well, with the whole, they're expecting him to go inside, and then he just stabs the ball through with his right foot. It's got us like 2 or 3 goals this season. And
it has.
I'm looking forward to seeing a Somerville and Emerson partnership strengthen as the season goes on.
I agree. Yeah,
I think people are, and I was one of the people who was enamored with Paqueta and his little bromance going out on that left side during the Moyes era. I loved how, out of all of the players, it was telepathic between them, wasn't it, Russ? I mean, like
they had something, and when Benrahma was, when the three of them were playing, it just worked with Benny, him, and Emerson, and that's what it's all about. It's all about connections and partnerships between that fullback and that wing position.
Yeah, because understanding what the player's going to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's what I like about Wan-Bissaka, because where Soufal was always just the overlap man,
Mhm.
probably that 9 times out of 10, Wan-Bissaka's taking it almost from a midfielder, but sort of inside. He's almost like Bowen's passing it inside to Wan-Bissaka,
I know.
and they've been practicing. They've been definitely practicing those little triangles, and you can see that in the thing.
Which again, interesting you say that, because as I was mentioning earlier, pardon me, with the passing, the biggest thing for me when watching the Newcastle game is that we actually look comfortable pinging the ball about. And I think no matter what era of Moyes you look at, I mean, I don't think we ever had a stretch of anything more than 3 minutes passing the ball around comfortably before we then go very direct. And don't get me wrong, Lopetegui has a very much direct dimension to his game when we like going for our goal kicks, and sometimes the defenders will ping it up. But I actually think in previous games where we've seen a lot more of that, it's because the midfielders aren't providing that option in there, and that's what's forcing us to go long under pressure. I think that with Soler and Paqueta coming back, dropping in, playing between themselves and the centre backs, all 4 of which have the ability to play themselves out of trouble and receive the ball under pressure now, which again is something we have not had at West Ham in a while, despite me loving Ogbonna in previous years. Under pressure, if you're going to ping balls into the box, Ogbonna's your guy, because he'll knock him out every single time. In terms of defending the 6-yard box, Ogbonna's fantastic. But if you're expecting him to receive the ball and ping it across the line into the likely something's going to go wrong for him. Like, it's likely there's going to be a pass that goes astray, and then we might be on the under the cosh in terms of an attack. I think that and I've seen it in many games this season, when we start passing like that, I like that it's we're making the other team chase after us and not the other way around. We had a very
that's what we want, isn't it?
100%, because we want to tire them out. And I actually think that made a big difference in the Newcastle game, because I think that particularly at the start of the second half, after we got our goal, we were kind of just taking the sting out of them. They really wanted to get at us, Russ. They really wanted to get another goal back and make that game competitive. And what we chose to do is be very cautious. Play the ball around a bit. Don't go long. Don't give them an opportunity to recollect the ball from us, not without making them chase us for 5-10 minutes or so. And I think that really kind of killed Newcastle's spirit. And as I mentioned just a second ago, I'm very happy to see that we're doing that to teams, not the other way around.
Exactly. Too often than not, it's been the other way around, isn't it?
Exactly. And I think, particularly Bowen, I mean, Bowen obviously gets frustrated out of passion, but that one where he sort of goes after he nearly gets it, then he goes, oh, and he's like, oh, you can see
really
him
frustrated,
annoyed every single time. It was nice to see that it was actually the Newcastle players, and I saw Joe Linton at one point make this face, which honestly put the biggest smile on my face. So he was he was clearly so visibly annoyed, and I'm like, that's what we want to be doing. And I'm under no illusion that we're going to that we're going to do that to Arsenal on Saturday. However, I think if we can get a goal like that, and then just while they're trying to swarm us, just frustrate them, I think again
they are frustratable, aren't they? They're one of those sides who are.
They
can get nippy. They can get nippy if you just little studs down the back of the thighs and things like that. You want a wind up, easy to wind up. That's
I totally agree. And obviously they are, not to be too rude, but they are the biggest whiners in the Premier League.
Yeah.
So if it's actually funny, because you can almost make their fan base turn on them, in my opinion. I've even seen it. I was at the cup game where we beat them last year, and it was let's just say an angry Arsenal fans. They were absolutely
very entitled, aren't they?
Yeah, and not that at their stature with the players they have, they shouldn't be expecting wins. But in turn, they expect them, but they think they almost owed them, which I've never understood from any fan base. It was almost like United post Fergie era, where they were like, we deserve 20, 26, 27 wins a season. It's like says who?
Yeah.
Says who? Especially in the best league in the world. Like no one's earned anything. It's partly why Man City's dominance has been so impressive for me, obviously up until now, which I have no idea what's going on with them, Russ. Honestly, I mean, look, if Pep can't solve it, I don't know if anyone can. So the notion people are like, his time's up. I'm thinking Who are you going to bring in to fix these issues then?
No
Yeah,
idea.
because
No
arguably,
idea.
there's no one better, is there? There's no one better than Pep. But
Well, technically, if he was employed by David Sullivan, he'd be out by now because he lost 5 in a row. As we know, that's his
his
mantra,
cut off,
isn't it?
That's his cut off. That's enough.
Alex, mate, I'm going to have to go. I'm really sorry, so I've got to do some more work. It's been
No.
lovely talking to you, man.
Russ, thank you.
Please come on more often. Please
I
come
will
on more
do.
often.
I'm a massive fan of the show. It's just the first
Good,
time
man.
I've sort of caught you. So thank you for your time, and thanks for everyone for listening to me blab on. I appreciate you.
No worries, man. Thank you so much,
Thanks
man.
so much. Have a lovely
man.
Friday.
You too, man. You too, man. Good old Alex. So I had to cut him off. I had to go. I'm really sorry. I have to do some work. But look, thanks very much for everyone, and thanks to Alex because I didn't have to do any work today. I could just literally listen to him talk, which was lovely. Thank you so much indeed. Good man, Alex, top man. As I said, if you are, if you've got kids and you haven't done the letters to Father Christmas yet or things like that, West Ham Network probably got you covered. I'll let you know on Monday about this. We're working with a company who, a West Ham fan who runs a company, so that could help. That could help you bring the quick Christmas joy in an affordable way to you, your children. So hopefully that will be. We'll give you more information on that on Monday, and also. As of Sunday, we start the West Ham Network Christmas giveaway. We did it last year, where we gave away prizes. You know, sign notebooks. We've got mugs, autographs. We've got the metal shirts, all that type of stuff. We're giving away prizes every day in December, leading up to Christmas. So for 24 days, and we'll just finish with a little video here. So make sure you subscribe because the only way to win, simple. You just got to comment on our videos. That's all you got to do.